Hello and welcome to this dojo video. Today we're going to be running a Blood Raiders 1010 escalation, which is a Blood Raiders naval shipyard. We're going to be running this in a Black Ops battleship known as the Widow. The reason why I've chosen to demonstrate using a Black Ops battleship is that I believe that it increases the survivability of the escalation runner quite dramatically. The reason for this is that getting into the systems where the escalations are can sometimes be quite perilous, getting through into gate camps, etc. And scouts and travel fix can only work so far, whereas if you're able to jump directly into the system where the escalation is, that can be hugely beneficial. The downside to doing this with a Black Ops battleship is that it's not as tanky, the DPS isn't as high, however they have higher escapability due to the fact that they don't have a bastion, and they can still put out a fairly good amount of DPS. The other downside is that it does require either an alt or a friend to be able to light you a covert ops Sino, but I think that the benefits far outweigh the negatives. Now the ship itself does cost about 2.5–3 bill and can go up to about 4 or 5 bill with the implants. So the ship that we're running with at the moment is this Widow. We've got torpedo launchers for the DPS, the covert ops cloak, obviously not the covert ops cloak, just a regular cloak but a faction one. We've got an Imperial large EMP Smartbomb, and that's for the frigates that we're going to encounter in the site. We've also got all of our tank modules. We've got an MJD for getting around in the site, shield booster because we're active tanked, a large cap battery to provide capacitor and also capacitor resistance to E-War, because the Blood Raiders are very heavy in energy neutralising E-War, and we've got these missile guidance computers for range and precision. In the lows we've got the Caldari Navy ballistic systems. These can be any flavour, but these are for added DPS. You can T2 them if you want to, but it will be slower. The tank, please don't downgrade this, because this is the required tank for the site, and also the Capacitor Flux Coil for extra capacitor. Also the rigs for capacitor. We're going to be running with a mixture of Javelin and Rage torpedoes. Javelin for range, Rage for extra DPS, close-up range. The drones can be there for added DPS, but aren't very good for taking out frigates because the aggro will frequently switch on to drones, so you will lose a lot of drones if you're using them primarily for clearing frigates. So, let's get this underway. The other thing with anything with a jump drive, that's for Black Ops battleships, capitals, anything like that, please don't jump from your capacitor. The reason for this is that it's very easy to jump to other people who have lit Sinos, you don't know where they are, and also it's quite easy when you've not got as many Sino beacons in range for you to accidentally jump to a beacon if it's just listed there. Where you can, always jump from your watch list. If you're jumping into a system with a friendly structure like I am, then just dock up and then undock, and what this does is completely refills your capacitor here. If you're not jumping into a system with friendly docking, then you can wait just a little while to let your capacitor recharge itself before going into the site. Now when you enter warp, I'm going to activate all your tank modules, these ones here as well. Now with Rage, with range scripts running, you're going to have 57 kilometers. With Javelin, you're going to have 102, and we're going to need as much range as we can for the first room, and we'll see why in a minute. when we start out in the room we are going to just use regular range torpedoes. And we're going to switch to precision scripts, and this just helps with better application of the torpedoes. When you land, there are going to be some rats initially. The reason I say that we're going to need range, the gate is 60 kilometers away. The room has a variety of towers, including stasis fire towers. We're going to try and MJD out. We're going to try and MJD so we end up around 100 kilometers away from the gate. Whilst we're waiting, because we're going to get webbed almost instantly, which is going to make aligning slightly slower, we are going to take out the ships that are closest by. We're going to leave the frigates for now because we'll take them out a bit later. But you can kind of visually see when your ship is actually fully aligned. Always have local open so you can see if anyone's come into system. And the great thing about this ship is that you can, if you've got safes, if you're in a system with no friendly structures, then you can burn some safes so that if someone does come into your system, then you can simply warp out to one of those safes and just cloak up. If need be, you can jump out with your Black Ops battleship and then jump back in at a later date. With precision scripts loaded, we're going to have 38 kilometers range with the range torpedoes. But that's fine, we're just going to kill everything within range, and then we're going to MJD out, and then kill everything else from afar. By the time that you've killed anything within sort of 30 kilometers-ish, we should be aligned and ready to go. But for now, I'm going to speed this up, and I'll come back to you when we are ready for the next room. As the final rat is about to go down, we have aligned into the next room. Hold down the Q button next to the gate, double click in space, so we've got a nice straight line to align down. Now activate the gate going into the next room. Now in this first room, once you're on the gate and there's a lot of frigates, it is you can't use your Smartbomb, so it can be a bit difficult to clear all those frigates quickly, so we do tend to use drones there, but you do have to keep a really close eye on frigate aggro. So also be aware that the Corpus Harbingers actually neutralise, so we're going to clear those out first. Once we get to a certain distance from the gate, there will be a wave of frigates that's going to spawn, so we want to try and stay at least 7.5 kilometers away from the acceleration gates so we can activate our smart bombs there. But again, we'll speed this up and I'll come back to you once we're going into the final room. Now as we get ready to come into the final room, there is a hell of a lot of incoming DPS and you spawn, the warping point lands you directly in the middle of a ball of rats. So what you're going to want to do is as soon as you land, as soon as you come out of warp, you're hitting your MJD. You're not aligning anywhere, you're just hitting your MJD. That's the first thing you're going to do. Next we might overheat our tank for a couple of cycles, just to get us through that initial. We're going to start our shield early and I'll let my capacitor recharge as much as possible, so let's get that overheating. Out of warp, MJD, I'm going to look for the stronghold, I'm going to start targeting that one straight away. I'm going to get our drones on that one as well, and now we're going to stop overloading. At this point, again, because we're not actually in a marauder, we can align to the nearest structure. That way, if we're in Shit Creek, we can quickly get out. So the tower hits pretty hard, as you can see. Just going to overheat that for a couple of cycles. I'm also going to just overheat our damage there a little bit as well. Keep an eye on your heat damage on your guns, because you don't want to overheat and burn out your guns completely. So I'm going to stop overheating now. We're almost there. I'm going to stop overheating on that one now. As you can see, a lot of rats on the warping point, and the tower is dead. We're going to recall our drones. Might not all make it, that's fine. Make sure to bookmark the can. So that's this one. I'm going to save location. And warp out to a structure. At this point, if you were in a system without a friendly structure, you would just walk to your safe, cloak up and wait. We're going to wait for the rats to despawn, and once the rats despawn, we can go in and get the can. You'll know the site has despawned because every time you try and warp to the gate, you'll get a message pop up. Once that message no longer pops up, then that means the site has despawned. Now in that final room, it's really important to do some overheating, but also manage it very closely. You can take drugs, you can take hard shell, you can take pyro. Always look in your redeem queue for anything here that might be relevant. So it's still there, so we're just going to wait for a little while. But once that despawns, we'll walk back to our can and grab the loot, and then we're just going to jump back to our home station with our Sino. Very simple, nice and easy, a little bit more technical than when you're doing it with a Marauder, but hopefully that shows you how easy it can be with a Black Ops battleship.